That third section, what you do with your emotion, will determine how people interact with you in this world. Hi everyone, I'm Charles Jones, a school librarian, and I'm be analyzing Ravi's Roar, which is a great book that talks to your students about how to deal with anger. Without further ado, let's get into it. Our story starts off with this exposition of Ravi being the youngest and the smallest in his family. Everyone in his family is bigger than him. Have your students think about this first question. Who is in your family? Who is the tallest and the shortest in your family? Have them all respond. For your older students, you can challenge them a little bit. How does being the smallest or the tallest alter the way you experience the world? Or also in this case, how does being young or old alter the way you experience the world? As you continue the book, there is going to be a page that will come up that will show how this changes simply for the fact that Ravi is the smallest in his family. We continue to see that even Biscuits the dog is also bigger than him. And being the smallest is great and all, but sometimes it just wasn't. His family's going to go on a picnic and they race to the train. Again, Ravi is actually very small, has shorter legs, and his brothers and sister are faster than him and get to the train before he does. Now think about this. What are now the effects of the fact that he did not get to the train earlier? Of course, being last, that's okay. But what happens because he's last? He has to squeeze into a seat with his dad and also the dog, and then the dog makes this very nasty smell. And that's unfortunate because Ravi is now subject to an unfortunate experience simply because he came last, simply because he is shorter than the rest of his family. On the following page, they are playing hide and seek, and Ravi is not having any fun because he cannot find a single one of his siblings. This is also kind of a fun page for younger students because they can explore and see where are his siblings in the page. So I'll have you pause the video and see if you can find all three of his siblings. If your students are having a challenge with this, give them the hint trees as the word because all of them are right next to the trees. Take a moment and see if you can find it. As we continue, he's on a playground and he can't reach these monkey bars. The gaps in the logs are too wide. And then on the next page, he wants to go on the slide and the guy says, sorry, you can't because you're too small. And Ravi's getting mad. Have your students slow down and say, what do you notice about Ravi? They're going to point out that there are these red sparks or red lines that are illustrated above his head to indicate that he is feeling slightly annoyed, frustrated, and later on in this very page, he is getting mad. But his dad tries to console him by saying, hey, let's go get some ice cream. And that's great. Let's go get some ice cream, relax a little bit, except it gets worse. His siblings go and get the ice cream before Ravi because, again, they're older and faster than he is. And Ravi comes in last, and guess what? There is no ice cream left. It is all gone. And Ravi is getting really upset. He starts to turn red even. It says Ravi was furious. Pause for a moment. Ask your students this question. How do we know that Ravi is furious? Hopefully they point out the various things on the page. Have them look at the pictures and analyze it. We know that the sparks above his head, those lines are illustrated a little bit darker now to maybe indicate that he's more upset. He has furrowed eyebrows. There is no smile on his face. He has his fists clenched. He's turning red. And then he has these sharp pointy teeth in that bottom panel. Before you continue the story, I want you to elucidate a truth about emotions to your students. There are 3 steps when it comes to dealing with emotions. The first one is naming what you feel. The second one is knowing why you feel that way. And the third is saying, what can we do with this emotion? Have the students practice with Ravi. What emotion is he feeling? He's obviously feeling furious. And then secondly, why is he feeling that way? Have the students think about and recall all the events in the story that have caused him to feel upset. And then challenge your students, what can Ravi do with this emotion? They will posit a various number of responses that suggest the best way to deal with anger. Have them think of themselves. What have they done when they're feeling angry? What are some bad things to do when you're feeling angry? Like what's not going to help the situation? Also, wrong is not actually a bad thing, depending on where you do it and who you do it towards, or if you're doing it by yourself and such. It's another way to express yourself. We continue, and now Ravi is feeling super upset, and he starts to roar when he doesn't have no space on the benches. Everybody gets out of his way, and he's having a great time being this tiger. The tiger is now doing everything that Ravi could not do. He's able to climb the monkey bars, he's able to leap, he's going down the big slide and nobody's telling him no. He's having a great time, but I wonder if there's any expense of this. Starts to go wild, takes the ball from his friends playing soccer, doing everything that he exactly wanted, and what's the effect of it? He found out that nobody wanted to play with him. That third section, what you do with your emotion, will determine how people interact with you in this world. In this specific case, it has caused people to not want to play with Ravi. The story continues with Ravi feeling a little bit sad now and unsure of why he's feeling mad in the first place. Now, tell your students again for that second one, why is Ravi feeling mad? Because there's reasons that have caused him to feel a certain way. So this is why as teachers, it's so important that when our students come into our classroom, we're doing a check-in first. Because if something happened at home that is making them upset, the smallest thing can have them snap. And then we think, oh, it was that thing, but in reality, it was a plethora of other things that also led up to this feeling furious. And again, being mad is not a bad thing. Being mad is neutral, truly, but depending on what you do with that emotion, that's what matters the most. He then says sorry, and the father does something absolutely amazing. The father gives him positive affirmation for saying sorry. It's so important. If you want your students to do an action, you definitely need to have a response that lets them know that that thing is truly positive. Even when apologizing might feel hard, it is truly the best thing for a person. I also have another book analysis and book reading of the book, How to Apologize. It lists all the different ideologies and ethics of how to apologize most effectively. And I'll link that in the description below. Then turns into a boy, no longer a tiger on the next page. And the story ends with this kind of very sweet bow on a present ending where every now and then he has a little bit of a growl. Sure, that's truly cute and all, but it's a very powerful moment because we realize that being angry is not a bad thing. It can be good if it's used in the best way. If you think about it, it's truly a form of potential energy. It can do something, but it's most important to think about what should we do with this anger. And that's the book.